Hey, Kooky crew, it's me, Sam, otherwise known as RareWarington, and I'm here today just to talk a little bit about this recent game I've played through called Keeper from Double Fine Production. Hey guys, future Sam here, and I just want to really quick mention kind of in the state of the industry, especially lately with what Sony's doing, especially what we're talking about today, what Microsoft is doing with a lot of these layoffs and stuff, and now Double Fine is able to go independent, which congratulations to Double Fine, but I know it's gonna be kind of a really tough thing having kind of just thrown back into open waters, so to speak. But this game definitely shines in this time. I want to say this experience of a game is definitely something that is worth supporting, especially in the time now we find ourselves in with Double Fine Studios and the talent with Tim Schafer's and Lee Petty's teams. There's so much talent in Double Fine. Just please find it in your hearts, guys, to support those developers and support this little channel too, if you guys feel. But anyways, yeah, back to the video. Double Fine is one of my favorite game developers, period. The game was actually led by Lee Petty, someone who's quite known with Double Fine's works with things such as Brutal Legend, Broken Age, and helped with other games Tim Schafer led, such as Psychonauts 2. Just a really, really cool, creative, and a really beautiful game. And a lot of the concepts, at least visually, heavily inspired by surrealist painters like Salvador Dali and Max Ernst, as well as the dark fantasy aesthetic of the Dark Crystal. But yeah, so Keeper is a really cool game starring a kind of an ancient sentient lighthouse, as well as his kind of mythical bird creature friend named Twig, who awakens him from a long slumber and brings him on this brand new adventure. Just really cool concepts. The art team, again, at Double Fine, just so talented. Bin Ying, the concept artist, is responsible for a lot of the background aesthetics and the meadow environments. Art director Alec Palacios, and also creative director Finian McManus, which just to name some of the brilliant art team under Lee Petty. Lee Petty, of course, being the creative lead and the art director for the game, had this vision of this game during COVID in 2020, while he was kind of walking on the beaches and taking some time in nature during COVID. Kind of his history and art inspired him to, as I said, kind of take inspiration from Salvador Dali and Max Ernst. And just this kind of technique that they kind of popularized, Salvador Dali, primary icon of surrealism and that type of dreamlike bizarre imagery. He actually is famous for a piece that's well known from 1931 known as the Melting Clocks piece, which is just another a testament to his strange technique where he induced a subconscious self-hypnotic state to create what is known as hand-painted dream-like photographs. And just really cool stuff, and you can definitely see the aesthetic inspiration in this game. Studio head of Double Fine, Tim Schafer, known for being the writer and the lead creator of many of the works out of Double Fine Studios, he famously stated that he and Lee Petty, the game director, wanted to get really weird with the project, using the freedom of being a part of Xbox Game Studios to produce a more artistic experimental title that they've been after that wouldn't have been possible as a fully independent studio. And honestly, when you play this game, it strikes me as an indie game. It is the aesthetic, it is the spirit. It's just a reminder of so much of what I love in games. The full narrative of the game is actually non-verbal, much like many other indie titles that I've been interested in lately. And I've kind of been on a kick of it with what I've been watching with things like Gendy Tartakovsky's Primal, a really great series on Adult Swim. Speaking of Adult Swim, the lead composer for the game, David Earl, was responsible for the Adult Swim partnership game Headlander with Double Fine, and just a really crazy, weird game, also beautifully weird. And the music is just so strange, futuristic, and it's just really, really cool. David Earl is also responsible for the music from Rad from 2019. He provided that strange but authentic 80s style synth rock sound. He also helped with a game that Double Fine was assisting with called The Cave, by Ron Gilbert, famous for his Monkey Island games and point-and-click adventures. But yes, the whole team, just the creative force behind this project is incredibly talented, incredibly innovative, and this was just a really cool sort of what seemed to be an outlet for Double Fine and Lee Petty. The game released in October of 2025, and again, starring the bird Twig and the lighthouse that we know as the Keeper. And just the lore that ensues, the adventure that ensues, is all so creative. I got to make a shout out to Camden Stoddard. He's actually been responsible for so many of Double Fine's games in the past, and the audio direction with him and his audio team is just incredibly good and just so immersive. He actually is responsible himself for the voice of the bird. Again, there is no dialogue. This is a completely non-verbal narrative, and I think the game really shines for it. But he gives a little bit of his personality by sort of having his own processed vocalizations and mimicking bird sounds to give the voice, like as I said, a little bit more personality and expression. Just like so many of the techniques used in this game just make the audio, the art, the whole visual storytelling aspect just shine. The whole team behind it is so talented, and again, while Schafer is the face of Double Fine, Tim Schafer, he stepped back on Keeper to let Petty's vision for the living lighthouse story take center stage. The game's amazingly cool concepts don't just end with visuals and audio either. So much of the mechanics utilized in this game, both with the lighthouse and the bird Twig, are so cool and innovative and just have some really interesting ideas. One of those mechanics being the light of the lighthouse. Oftentimes, puzzles require you to focus your light or to find something with the light of the lighthouse. Other times, it's merely just a reward for player exploration, making the world kind of come alive, bringing the nature to life. There's a theme of sort of awakening nature and like keeping the peace, keeping the balance throughout this entire game, whether it be bringing light to dark places, bringing life to nature that's lost it, or bringing the correct time or time change to certain places depending on the mechanic that you're able to alter. Throughout, Keeper is both a silent but also a heartfelt narrative. It's an incredible what Double Fine has done with all the things that they had to work with here to tell the story. Double Fine is very accustomed to its strange and weird aesthetics, but man, they are super close to my heart. And I will say, the work here is Double Fine's talent on full display. The aforementioned mechanics are not limited to just the lighthouse, as I said before. Twig the bird can actually also interact with many different objects throughout the world as you explore, both solving puzzles, grabbing objects, and interacting with the world and characters around you. The game is pretty linear as far as design goes. However, there's many spaces that give the player freedom to look around, to find things that are pertinent, and also things that are just nothing but a joy to behold. One moment that stuck out for me was just this cliffside here, showing kind of the apocalyptic aesthetic and seeing skyscrapers off in the distance in ruin, but being accompanied by a gorgeous, beautiful rendition of a piece that plays within the level that you find this cliffside.
The music is incredibly well done. If you come over here, does it just play that piano section? It does. This game is too good.
The creatures that inhabit the world range from Henson and dark crystal-like creatures to robotic, almost Pixar-like creatures. The whole world is populated by what seems to be ancient and otherworldly beings, and the lore that accompanies it is beautiful, tragic, and heartwarming. Without giving away too many of the mechanics, you are not limited to solely a lighthouse throughout the game. Though the lighthouse form is predominantly what you will play with, Twig and Keeper tend to change forms depending on what happens in the plot or the situation that you're in. There were many times in the game that I was just left stunned that I couldn't believe this was happening. I couldn't believe it wasn't in the marketing. And I think it's for the better, both as a surprise, but also just as a creative, innovative sense that is just very Double Fine. I cannot state enough how beautiful this game is, with seeing brush strokes and certain textures, but also psychedelic, almost dreamlike sequences and visuals. This game scratches an itch in my brain that I didn't know I needed scratched. The emotions expressed through so little sound and no dialogue and pure visuals is an absolute magical achievement and something that fits the weird aesthetic of Double Fine Productions. I personally love this game, and I highly recommend it to those who want a short but not too short indie experience with beautiful visuals and non-verbal storytelling. Bond between these two strange characters and the sacrifices that happen within the plot are as heartwarming as the visuals themselves. Keeper is a beautiful and strange journey through a familiar but oddly alien world, with wild twists and turns on your path to discover your purpose in a land partially plagued by a mysterious darkness as you bring peace, light, and balance to this colorful, nature-dominated world. Please give Keeper a try, and the people at Double Fine deserve all the credit for this amazing feat of talent in this project here. And for people who follow the Kooky Crew content, there are some comparisons to Banjo-Kazooie when it comes to certain platforming section and just the general dynamic between these two characters. That said, if you'd like to join the Kooky Crew, we have a link to the Discord in our description, and we welcome all like-minded folks who want to discuss games, media, and other things of that nature. But with that, from me to you and the rest of the Kooky Crew, have a good one, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.